Yay.
Oh, wow.
Welcome, Alexis. Uh,
Yay.
I was going to read the first part of your bio that you have on your website, if that's okay.
Sure.
Okay. I am infinite. You are infinite. There is no relationship. You are the air I breathe. Symbiosis. There is no word I can say to describe how beautiful you are.
Mm.
All language and languaging is a lie, a metaphor. An apple is not simply a group of sounds. Apple. It is more than that. A crisp, juicy snap of fruit and nourishment dropping from a treetop. And so we can use words to point at the ineffable, the incomprehensible. We can taste the flavor of being, the fragrance of freedom, but nothing I can say can pinpoint it, who I truly am. There is no one to awaken and nowhere to awaken into. Self-realization does not come from a practice. It can happen or not happen. It is a loss, only a loss of the appearance of a separate individual, a loss of something that was never there, just like walking out of a prison made of light, an appearance. There is no process. We can meditate. We can sit with a teacher. We can sit in stillness. We can sit in nature. We can sit with each other. We can hold each other's hands. Awakening can happen. The dropping away of an illusory self, a separate individual which cannot dissolve, cannot die, and cannot be destroyed. The suggestion is that the faculty of agency has never existed, but the illusion can disappear. That was gorgeous.
Beautiful. Yay.
Thanks.
Sums it up. One and done.
Gorgeous.
Forgive me for laughing the whole time. I had no memory of what you were going to read.
Oh, that's
Oh,
funny.
That's so fun. I love when that happens.
Yeah. Did I
Yeah.
write that?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, yeah, that didn't happen. Cool.
Wow. Yeah, you have a really laid back and all-inclusive vibe I get from you. Mm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Were you into IFS?
Oh, yeah. My mom is an IFS therapist. And I worked for my stepfather's company. My stepfather has a publishing company that produces IFS books. And I was a musician that was just, performing. And they asked me to work for the company and make lullaby music for their meditations at first and like record bird sounds and stuff. And
Wow.
yeah, so that's how it started with the IFS. And then I started turning books into audiobooks. And, I had never had the patience to read my stepfather or my mother's books, even though, like whatever the reason. But, if you do a bunch of sound editing and you're like editing every word, it can really like sink in. So, and then I did my own IFS work. So, yeah, I mean, therapy. We could talk about it.
Yeah.
Or not.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, we love Sid too.
Yeah, I love Sid. He's my Facebook friend and we Jack.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, we had him on here too a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Cool.
Would you like to say a little bit about your story, Alexis?
Yeah. You know, I mean, there are many stories and there might be sort of intertwined and overlaid. But I can ask which one, or I can tell, you know, the seeking story.
It's whatever you want to share.
I feel like with the seeking story, yeah, like, well, I guess I can say like I can tell spirituality might pop up, you know. It's like I can tell the seeking story and then spirituality might pop up.
Mhm. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah. There's less of an interest now as far as like the story of this character. There's less of an interest in spirituality.
Mhm.
But yeah, spirits pop up. Haven't gone anywhere.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So the first memory is sort of where I can begin with the seeking story. And yeah, it wasn't anything super significant. My parents were in an argument. I was perhaps 3 years old. But, you know, there was sort of the first feeling of like, this thing is fragile. Like, what is this thing? Like, it's different than whatever's happening. And sort of like within that is the first taste of like a fear of death. I like Jim Newman's quote, like, all fear is fear of death. And like, that was the first time it was like, whatever this thing is, it's fragile.
Yeah.
And you know, I've thought about that memory and looked at sort of toddlers who like walk off changing tables and stuff. They're just like, "Ah!" You know, and some of that sort of was a sort of a healthy feeling. It was like, oh, okay, there's a body, you know, there's an appearance of a body that, you know, could be finite. But it was more powerful than that because there was sort of, well, there was a bunch of things that happened in that first memory. There was also, you know, my mother was yelling at my father, and it felt like the power of words were so apparent to the character. Like it felt like she was actually throwing balls of energy. So simultaneously, it was like, there's something there. Like, what is that? What is energy? And, you know, communication, expression, it's powerful. It's like a living, tangible thing. And the story of this character is one of self-expression. So that was sort of my first taste of it. I was like, wow, she has feelings. And they're like living things that are like coming out. But I would say, moreover, as far as like where the seeking began, was like somehow within that memory was just like, you know what? No, like just like a total refusal of like whatever was happening. And that's sort of the essence of seeking for me. I don't know if that relates. I mean, I can just continue with it.
Yeah, it's become so obvious it's not real, and it's same here. I projected a total freak show to wake me up because it was the more trickster character it was and ridiculous, absurd,
Yeah.
the more obvious.
Yeah. And then, you know, the childhood, there was a lot of like somersaults and happy, yummy times. And, you know, like a lot of, yeah. I mean, like just to note it, nature and love of animals. I was born in New York City, and animals were sort of my gateway to nature. My mom was very giving with them. So I could have like,
Yeah.
yeah, tadpoles and fireflies and jars and birds coming out of cages and mice running all over.
Cute.
You know, just like,
yay.
so yeah, there was sort of early sort of solace in, yeah, nature and animals.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and Michael I think said that there was a feeling that something was off, but we couldn't really put our finger on it at that young age.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I could put words to it, I would say it was just being disturbed by the apparent reality of separation.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and the resistance is the catalyst to wake up, just like a nightmare at night. The resistance, the refusal to accept, that's fucking hardcore, is what wakes you up. It's so cool. Because you already know.
Yeah.
You're the
And there's
infinite.
no greater, sorry, go ahead.
That was it.
There's no greater suffering, arguably, and even that is just a story. But other than like physical pain and cold and hunger and those things, you know, at least in the story of this character, there was no greater suffering experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And this is so beyond intimacy. Just, like experiencing verb without an experiencer, tasting itself through every sensation. And it's feeling itself. So it's like, it can be ecstatic, like ecstasy, even the pain.
Love that. Pure verbing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like Paul and Jack say all the time. It's just no separate experiencer. It's just experiencing one, consciousness experiencing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when there's a feeling, when this body feels fear, it's like, or like grief, it's like, this sandwich is so delicious. And I'm just like,
oh
Yeah, Alexis, we have a technical term for that over here. It's called geeking out.
yeah, yeah. I know. Geeking out all day. It's like infinite self-discovery too. It's freaking like a TV with infinite channels,
Yeah.
Does feel like a deepening or something, no process and process are the same, even though the mind can't grasp that.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was talking to, I started doing one-on-one sessions with people talking about anything really, but non-duality and spirituality. And I noticed that this person was sort of caught in that like future story about like, who am I going to be when, whatever happens. And with that is the missing out on like this being enough.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah, it's so simple.
Yeah. So immediate. Too immediate. And the process, all of that is just for fun, because just like watching a movie without the reference to the beginning of the movie and the previous frames that didn't happen, it wouldn't make sense. So the process is what we want. We want this, experiencing of what's unfolding. It's amazing.
It's very ironic.
Sorry, what?
You go, Alexis.
So immediate because there's no continuum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Born just now. It's clean slate. Nothing happened before this. So that's how it's so miraculous, and how you can actually heal the body miraculously, is because nothing ever happened before this. It's like fresh.
Yes.
Reboot.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you can see how it sounds like a thing that I can have or attain. It's just when you start to talk about it, it inevitably sounds like something I can have.
Yeah. And within that, like without a doer, then there's just one surprise after another.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, did I know I was going to take that breath right now? Did I really?
And that's the fun. It's like the movie's already been filmed. It's already available now. Everything is, but it's like you're in the theater watching it for the first time and you don't know what scene's going to happen next. It's all fun.
Mhm.
It's exciting.
So I was going to ask you a question, Alexis.
Okay.
Is awakening the end of suffering? I guess we would have to
Good
define those
question.
words, but
Sorry, go ahead.
I guess we would have to define what we mean by awakening and suffering, but yeah.
That's funny. That's exactly what I was just going to say is like the metaphor that life is a dream is something that, yeah, I think that I would like to ask about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's the fun cosmic joke. It's like the joke's on you because there is no world to save. There is no one else to convince or wake up. And none of these characters are actually real. All there is the one, you know, awareness aware of itself, and it's beyond the
Yeah.
concept of freedom, you know, aware of the concept of freedom.
Hmm.
But your question was about suffering.
Uh, is there an end to suffering, in this that we're talking about? We hear it a lot in certain teachings. We have an idea of what that is, and maybe even we think the thoughts will end, or emotions will calm down, or whatever it is we believe.
Yeah, there's no greater suffering than a belief, I think. Because a belief is a story made up if we don't know the answer.
Yeah. So ironic.
Mm.
Like
When living with that, the character living with and facing it, the adventure, the thrill of it, that can be the greatest joy.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of a story about Amelia Earhart when somebody asked her like why she wanted to fly around the world. And they said, do you want to be the first woman to fly around the world or whatever? And she said, for the thrill of it. And it really raised a lot of heads because women kind of weren't supposed to talk like that. And there was like sexual association with it and all of it. Women were not supposed to sort of like be adventurous in that way.
Mhm.
But that's the, most exciting thing in the story of this character is not knowing what's going to happen. How cool is that?
That is fun. The surprise, the mystery. The mystery is what's sexy,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like beliefs are comforting to us. It gives us the sense of control, uh, the sense of knowing what this is or anything, like what will happen. So I feel like there can be a bravery of really looking at that and seeing it for what it is, which is just symbols.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Meaning that, yeah, when there's infinite meaning, which cancels itself out to zero meaning.
Yeah. Yeah. A belief is like, this is not what is being experienced, this story, but maybe it's out there somewhere. There is an openness to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Kind of like seeing it can be no other way than this, how it appears right now, and just a sobriety that
Mm-hmm.
that's all there is.
Yeah.
Yeah, this recognition can be like a deleting a hard drive or like a malware on the computer, It just does itself. It just swallows everything.
Yeah.
And it to me, it kind of changes memory, because when you have a memory of something
Mm-hmm.
that's also seen as that was effortless and spontaneous,
Yeah. Yeah, it heals everything. It's even the story that didn't happen. I remember right away, I was like, oh my God, my whole life didn't happen. It was just a dream. And I was like, how fucking beautiful. I remembered my abusive stepdad. I was like, that was me. That was me appearing as that to wake my ass up. Like all of this shit was a projection of
Yeah.
the mind, a hallucination, and none of it fucking happened. And how beautiful it all was. Like all the shit that I thought was horrible was absolutely stunning.
Totally.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm glad it came up because I've been transitioning from working as a medium to doing like sessions with people talking about non-duality and spirituality in a very open sense, and more painting and writing. But one thing that came up many times when I was working as a medium is people often many times ask me the future. Can you tell me my future? And that was like, oh God. No, I can't.
I know,
And
that's so funny.
Yeah.
That is so fun.
Yeah.
I
It's
did that
so
too
fun.
for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. The psychic stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's so fun not to know for this character, but maybe not for everyone. And I
Yeah.
remember, when I was sort of a teenager and I was going on a flight, or I had a big trip planned, and I went to someone who read my tarot cards, and I just wanted somebody to say, "You're going to be okay." That's all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's why I said the other day that really my number one message is it's understandable. You're okay. I know. I understand. You're allowed to not feel okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have any favorite speakers or teachers or current ones, or you don't consume that anymore?
I love it. There's a lot of listening still.
Oh.
And I love listening to Emerson. I just did a one-on-one with him that I really, really enjoyed. He has so much personality, and we have a lot in common. And it was just really spontaneous and beautiful.
Oh.
And Leela Muse.
Oh.
Yay.
Thank you. My cheerleader.
Yay.
So awesome.
Yeah, I
Beautiful.
love Emerson too.
Yeah.
I love his just straight to the point,
So fearless. Yeah. 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 I love Jim Newman. I just went and, sat with him in person. When I started, reading about non-duality, I was obsessed with books by someone named Ramaji, and I called him and I asked him, can I meet with him in person? And then I was really interested in Fred Davis, and I called him and asked him, can I meet him in person? And both of them said no. And when I started listening to Jim, I found out that he's just kind of this rock star that like goes all around and tours all the time. And I was so excited to go and just sit with him and eat with him and run errands with him and talk about, food and fermenting and just like all these other topics, gardening,
Yeah,
like,
cute.
whatever, like just to be together, And so I just went on retreat with him. It was wonderful.
Oh, where was that?
That was in Milwaukee. I live in Milwaukee, Oregon, and the retreat was in the bigger Milwaukee.
Cool.
Yeah.
He lives near me. I live in
Oh,
Nashville. Yeah.
awesome. My one of my best girlfriends in the world lives in Nashville. I can't believe you're there, and you kind of remind me of her. It's so
cool.
funny.
Yay.
I was going to ask you where you are. She's
How
a
fun.
professional country singer.
Oh, nice.
So you might go see
Oh,
her.
is it in Nat? Okay, so I'm in Asheville, North Carolina. Is she in Nashville,
She's in
Tennessee?
Nashville, Tennessee. Sorry.
Okay, I used to live near there too, though. I used to live there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. There's a lot going on in Asheville, though. There
Yeah.
you are, right? Spirituality and
Oh, yeah. It's like another Sedona over here.
yeah.
A galactic cuddle pile.
Nice. Yeah, cuddle. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love pile. Yeah.
Yay.
Cuddle, cuddle. That's so funny. Yeah, I used to live in Marin, and that's like cuddle pile central.
Yeah. And ecstatic dances every day.
Yeah, every day.
Yeah, I'm down here in the Bible Belt, so
So they don't know what ecstatic dance is over there.
We'll have to cuddle
That
you
would,
over there.
I know, that would be a satanic ritual over there.
yeah. Bless their hearts. Here's another question,
Okay.
Alexis. What is the self that falls? What is it made of?
Well, there's no self that falls. It's just a misconception,
Mhm.
sort of an evaporation.
Yeah.
But it's an interesting question because why is another question. Why does it appear?
Mhm.
That I have no idea. And it actually reminds me of being on the Jim Newman retreat. And anytime anyone asked a why question, he said, "There is no why. Next question."
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a poem. God, I don't remember, but there's no reason. There's no reason for a rose. There's no reason for. There's no reason for.
I think Tim Kliss said the answer to why is why not?
Why not? Why not?
Yeah, and the answer is the question. Yeah, and I see this as novelty too. It's like you're singular, you're all alone. So by dreaming this, you experience yourself as one, you know? So I see it as playful.
Yeah. Very playful. Even if overwhelm or something arises, it still has that, you don't forget the playful quality that's more obvious. Or like it's like art, just expressing.
Mm-hmm.
Something you said, I was listening to y'all talk maybe last month or something, and you were talking about an allower and sort of, yeah, in the story of this character, it's like there was a sort of a phase where it was conceived that like there was like this person allowing everything and like, oh, I'm just gonna allow, and then it was like there's no there's no flower. Never mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we talk about the allowance that can happen, it does sound like that. It sounds like a strategy, something I can implement, just read a book, apply the principles. But
Yeah.
it just needs to be noticed that it's already allowed, and that's even saying too much.
And even the allowing is this tasting itself, making love to itself through that quality, through that experiencing. And there's no one else, no one separate doing it. It's just tasting itself.
Yeah. I forgot the question that you asked because I don't know if I answered it.
I said, what is the self that falls and what is it made of?
It's interesting because the word that just came up when you asked that question is energy. And there is only the one thing. There is only the one thing, and it can appear as energy, as energetic form. But that separateness is not something that I was born with. And it came on and it grew stronger and stronger and stronger. It really snowballed to the point where like nothing was how it should be, and that violence, should is a violent word. And like everyone should be different, and the life circumstance, all of it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like an energy of meaning and belief. which is innocent in this too, you know, a pattern that can appear.
Yeah, I love go ahead.
I was just gonna say we believe in it like we do Santa Claus.
Yeah. I love the analogy of because everything's the clue, because everything is God talking to itself. But the analogy of the movie theater is so beautiful to me because it's like, you're the one watching the movie. You're not in the movie. You're projecting it, rendering it, perceiving yourself through it because you're singular, but then you forget and think you're the actor in the movie and then take it seriously, and all the shit in the movie is just terrifying and happening to you, and then you remember that you're the you're the whole theater because you're the screen of awareness from which it's appearing and disappearing. You're the light that's illuminating these illusory images that aren't really happening, which is just a projection of the mind. And then so it's all you imagining, it's all your mind.
Mm.
And then there's that beautiful, because in the beginning of the awakening can kind of seem like at first you're still in the movie, you're still the character on the screen. I used to call it savior syndrome because then you're the superhero that's waking people up from the dream, but that's still part of your scam, your mental scam or whatever.
Yeah.
Which is just all of you talking to yourself. So it's like the analogy of the schizophrenic sitting in the room by itself talking to different personalities, different characters that aren't real. But I wrote something this morning about that. Let's see where. Um, so then there's that humiliation at first, like, oh my God, this joke's on me. It's all fucking, oh my God, I duped myself. And then, okay, there's really no one to talk to about this. You can only help someone else. Yeah, you can only help someone else when there's no one to help. If there's someone to help, it's you that needs help.
That's so perfect.
Yeah, as one singularity, you're either schizophrenic or you're not, and both are equally divine, because that part of the schizophrenic analogy is you wanting to experience what it was like to be human when you're not in the finite experience or whatever, and then it's like all of it's total perfection.
You were talking about meaning, Leela. Can you say more about that, please?
Yeah, actually I just came out with a little short video. Well, it's about 15 minutes long, but I was talking about existential knowledge falling. And really that's all that seems to fall because for me, because there's a world, there seems to be a body and thoughts and emotions still. It's just that knowing what this is on an existential level that seems to fall. And that, of course, that doesn't mean that the body forgets how to function in daily life. It knows already how to feed itself and keep itself safe to a degree. But it's a world of difference between a meaningful world and a meaningless world. And sometimes we hear that in a negative way. It can sound like nihilism, but meaning isn't negative. It is meaningless. And it's sort of like, it feels like freedom. It feels like love for me.
Yeah.
That's so nice. And what do you think about sort of the endless addiction to having a purpose?
I feel like we could call it a preference or like a longing energy that can appear. But we can also live without that. I mean, this is sort of simplicity and without the incessant trying to reach whatever it is. This is still this, you know, your ass on the chair, the sound of it,
Yeah.
the tingling of the body, and
Yeah, I would say that is the purpose, every experience, moving the hand, the breath, the sound of the voice, the sipping some tea.
Nice.
but I wouldn't demonize yourself if you have a, you know, sort of an incessant something, some goal or something like that. That's this too, you know, and we all have to make money, and we love to express ourselves, and
Hmm.
so
Yeah.
that's it's equally this, whatever it is.
Yeah, and the character on the illusory character has beautiful, unique qualities and um, you know, exuding archetypal qualities and seems to have probability distributions and does seem like it's a love story, like it's, you know, it has
Yeah.
something it's doing, you know, it's because when this when I recognized this, it was like I felt like I was finally living, and I felt like, okay, this is all I'm fucking doing is talking about this shit. Yay. So
Yeah.
if there was a purpose, that was it or something, you know, I was like,
Right.
that's it.
Yeah.
For me, it can all come back to animals. Like, does the squirrel have a purpose? Like, you know, like is gathering nuts his purpose, you know? And, you know, the experience of a squirrel is like, you know, the bushy tail and the running around and the running and the surprise and like all the, you know, and it's like there's so much more happening than, you know, gathering nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, making a nest and
All of it.
all the stuff. Yeah.
Well, purpose stops making sense. The word, it's like, you know,
Hmm.
what even is that?
It's novelty.
Yeah, and it's okay just to be here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fundamental, this mysterious appearance, you know, it seems to be, however it seems to be.
Yeah, yesterday, Leela and I were talking about life's natural intelligence and discovering that you don't need to, in a way, you kind of muck it up, you know, when you get in there and
Yeah.
there's a wisdom. The squirrel doesn't need to call it its life purpose to go get nuts. It just goes and gets the
Yeah.
fucking nuts.
Hmm.
Yeah. It's fucking hungry, right?
And
Yeah.
it doesn't get a reward when it gets all the nuts stored.
Effortless being.
Yeah, it's all equally miraculous.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And
So,
this doesn't even need to be seen to be what it is already.
Oh.
Hmm.
so here it was sort of the falling away of labels in the meeting that this is this and this is that. That all
Hmm.
kind of,
Yeah.
I would say labels can arise, but they're empty, you know,
Hmm.
more like just cute and fun and silly.
When you say labels, do you mean like spiritual bypassing or whatever, narcissism or like labels for
I
your
just
own and other people?
just language in the mind,
Mhm.
like the commentary. Um,
Hmm. And also
hmm.
limiting thing because everything's infinite. If everything is you is the infinite. So
Yeah, and
rem-
the labels are seen as relative. So, you know, if someone
hmm.
says so and so is an asshole, well, you know, maybe in that moment it's described, but there, you know, to
They're
say,
infinite.
yeah, anything is this way or that way exclusively
Hmm.
doesn't compute.
That's
yeah.
why the intuition always alarms when that's the thought like that arises that's divided.
Yeah. And how that can manifest in relationship is like if I am my dog, my neighbor, my mom, it's like then there's this immediate like forgiveness, allowance,
Hmm.
non-judgment, acceptance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
How could they be anything but perfect?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because when you see your own emptiness, you see everybody's emptiness, you know.
That there is no one. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
emptiness is innocence.
Totally. Everyone's doing the best they can. They're
Yeah.
doing what they do.
Yeah. This is life striving. You know, it's what could be more beautiful.
Beautiful. I love that. Yeah.
You gonna show us some art, Alexis?
Oh yeah, why not?
Thank you.
Look at the chair rocking itself.
I know. That's
It's
cool.
empty.
Empty. No one there.
Wouldn't that be a cool video to just have a rocking chair rocking through the video?
Mm-hmm.
A
In
lot of
silence.
my new stuff has nudie people in it, so let me just
Cool.
Yeah, that's okay.
Oh, my virgin eyes.
Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what it is with like nakedness and vulnerability, but it used to be just like, this series is the mental landscape series, and
Beautiful.
yeah, it's just a practice of painting from memory. And it's like whatever arises, literally. And sometimes whenever I'm painting, I have no idea what I'm painting. Like I have no idea what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, wow. I love that. And we'll put all your links in the description, your website.
Mm-hmm.
I'll send you some. Yeah.
Okay, send me some. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just watercolor, or do you do like markers and stuff too?
Whatever. Yeah, there's a
Whatever.
lot
Mm-hmm.
of watercolor pens that I use.
Mm-hmm.
Paint pens. I've tried painting with beetroot and other
Mm-hmm.
herbs.
Oh, wow.
I'd really like to get into crushing rocks and
Yay.
yeah.
And try period blood too. That's a
There
cool
you
paint. Yeah.
go.
Mm-hmm.
Michael's face. Yeah, I've seen people paint with coffee and stuff.
Me too, yeah. Oh, beautiful. I love that. Yay.
Is this the nudity? Naked trees?
Oh, he's waiting for the skin.
Got this sweater.
Wow.
I love all the little dots and
The
Beautiful.
pointillism, yeah.
I love the river.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with nature too. I love to frolic.
Yeah.
thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
I wish we could go for a walk.
I know, me too. I have waterfalls down the street. That's why I moved to this location. It's like a fairy forest, whimsical. It's beautiful.
Yeah, the river's 3 blocks away here. So
Beautiful.
I just love it.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you. Yeah, beautiful.
That was one thing, it's all a surprise, but my interest in painting kind of fell this year.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
So sometimes I have thoughts about picking it back up, but just like we'll see,
Yeah. Yeah. So when I was young, my dad is a professional bebop jazz musician, and he taught me how to match pitches and rhythms before I could talk. And so
Wow.
yeah, and I went to school. I wanted to study poetry, but I was sort of an angry teenager, and so many of my poems had like blood and score. Like, the
Oh,
teacher
cool.
was really upset by it. And I was like, well, I'll take an art class. And I ended up, I wasn't a child artist. So, and I loved it and I loved art, but I started walked away from school and I was like, well, I'll never be an expert painter. Like, there was a lot of comparison and there was a story that music was something I was good at. And so I pursued, heavily. That's how a lot of my, going back to this story, the story of this character, like a lot of the seeking for this body was about ambition and being perfect and being really good at something and specific goals. And when those goals were achieved, often there was just like a feeling of being totally baffled, and then it was just over the next second. And
Me too. I've had that. Yeah.
totally, yeah, meaning.
Mm-hmm.
And and many of them weren't, but there was a feeling. I remember looking over, I had several girlfriends that really, really loved to be on stage. They just like, it was like the sunshine for them. They just like ate it up. And I sort of looked around one time on stage and I saw like my best girlfriend, and she was just like, yeah, and just loving it. And I had been like up all night the night before, it was not enjoyable. So, I mean, there was a feeling of catharsis with writing music, and I had grown up with music playing. It was like so familial to me. But the actual like performing of it, and then when it came to like being on a label, touring, stuff like that, it was just like, I fucking hate this. I hate
Yeah.
it. And yeah, so in the story of this character, there was like sort of a radical shift. I had a 12-day fever, sort of like an indie experience, and after that there was like no separateness, and hardly any talking, all performing completely. Like I haven't performed since that time. That was about 6 years ago. And like, yeah, I started channeling, which for me, channeling has just been about energy, like energy coming into the body, which is an appearance, and writing. And then I started, seeing if maybe I could illustrate some of, the books I was writing. And it was so joyful. Like it was just pure, like, oh my God, this is so fun. I love it. And yeah, when my baby cousin Dia was born, I just was like, well, maybe I'll paint her a card. I didn't take painting in college, and this is only a little over a year ago that I started painting. And so I just sat down with a piece of paper and I made her a little card and I sent it to her. And then I was like, I called my cousin. I was like, can you scan that card and send it to me? I miss it already. And every day since then, I just woke up and painted as if it was something that this body always did. And there's this like living, I grew up in a big city, so, and I live in what feels like the country to me, and there's birds chirping outside, and I paint and write and listen to people talk, and it's just so much more fitting for this character, which is mostly introverted.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
It's fascinating to see us mature and how these insights can sort of express.
Yeah. And when there's no story of like wanting to be good at something, like, because I've seen paintings that are like, perhaps by, certain people's standards, like technically good, and like, I don't care. I'm not moved by it. So it's like, and even, with the lack of separateness, at times there could be like stories about like, well, this is a waste of time. And like the body can like say those stories out loud. And, most of the time it has like no effect on the painting. The painting just continues.
Yeah. Yeah, I know what you mean. Totally.
Yeah, it's so fun to watch it do itself. Like it's just it's so intuitive. It's like the Wu Wei. It's just in the flow.
Totally.
And it's magic. It's magic. Same here. I was very meticulous. I was obsessed with mastering. So like I'm in the story, in the dream, went to art school, obsessed with painting, thought I mastered painting. Then I had to move to photography because once I mastered it, it was like next. And so then the photography went on for 9 years, meticulously obsessed with perfecting composition and shooting in film so that because I couldn't fuck it up when it had to be perfect. And then once I proved to myself, I was like, okay, that's done. And then yeah. And then the writing, got obsessed with writing. And then more recently did a few spontaneously pieces of art, that got me inspired to get back into that again. So it's so funny how it's just doing itself.
Yeah, I love that fox painting you
Oh,
showed.
yay.
Kentucky.
Yay.
Did you
I
do
did
that?
that. Yeah, for my son's nursery long time ago. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yay. Thank you.
Is it a real fox? A particular fox that you know?
Yeah, I was obsessed with foxes. I thought it was my spirit animal. So then, as everything being a projection of your mind, then I rendered evidence of more foxes. So then I lived on this giant crystal in Colorado, and I would see a white fox run in front of my car every night, and then I would hear them fighting, and sometimes like outside of my window. So yeah, they're so magical.
They're so like they have sort of a devious reputation, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Totally. Oh yeah, like the spirit meaning of the fox or whatever, like sneaky and
Oh, they're crafty. They're tiny little animals.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, you're
So
so
cool.
foxy, Jenny.
Oh yeah.
fox.
That's hilarious. Yay.
Yeah, and even I mean, it's okay to like look up spirit meanings and things like that. I mean, to me, it's just so fun.
Mm-hmm.
There should be no rules that oh no that's meaning making. That's not non-dual. Well, meaning still appears. It's just
Yeah,
in
meaning it's non-dual, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people have said to me, when I was still working as a medium, they said, well, medium is not, non-dualistic. And I said, well, it's dualistic. And I said, how could anything be dualistic?
Hell yeah, it's everything. It's
It's
everything.
everything.
hmm
It's
Yeah.
so playful too, because I got back into that shit after it being so obvious that none of this is real or happening.
Totally.
It's like, holy shit, infinite playground. I'm gonna get back into that stuff. Like it's so
Yeah.
fun. So
Yeah.
then because everything's a ritual to resonate on a frequency and then that changes the movie channel,
Yeah.
so I still experiment with that and just it's all like witchcraft.
Yeah. This body, when I was a little girl, could see and hear spirits and feel them externally.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's just like, there's no specialness. It's just, that's what, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
Wow.
so infinite. I
Yeah.
used to channel entities and it would really project that movie. Like it would project,
Mhm.
it would change it and it was fun. And yeah, it's
Yeah, the one thing appearing as
yeah.
energetic form.
Mhm.
Yeah, you could say this whole thing is a possession. It's like a doing
Yeah.
itself.
I like that.
Totally, as we sort of bounce energy off of each other and into each other, of course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one quantum soup appearing unique.
Psychedelic soup.
Yeah. Slurp. Yay.
Well, thank you so much for joining us, uh,
Thank you. Thank you for
Alexis.
having me. It was really nice.
So nice.
Yay. It's so fun. Being one appearing as imaginary friends.
So grateful to have others, like-minded others.
Me too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, when sort of the big shift happened, it was like there was just literally no talking about anything, let alone non-duality.
Mm-hmm.
There was just quiet
Yeah.
for quite a few years before I,
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the words were even interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So yeah, I feel like there was a fear that if that illusion evaporated entirely, then this thing would never talk again. It just loved quiet so much. But it's crazy. It's sort of the opposite has been sort of appearing. Like once that was fully accepted, then the talking started a little
Yay.
bit.
Oh, cool.
Gorgeous. All
Mm-hmm.
inclusive.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yay.
Thank you guys so much for
Thank
hanging
Thank
you.
out.
you.
Mwah.
Yay.
Love you guys.
Love you guys.
Have a great day.
You too.
Bye.